at these fellow workers of the land. No weather will stop us, boys, will it? Well, hello guys, I hope everybody's doing okay. My statement you've just heard me make about the weather is factually incorrect, as you're gonna find out very soon. So, thank you for joining me today. I'm Martin the Garden Guy, and welcome back to another episode of this grand plan to rejuvenate this 17th century garden, which I've just found out could potentially be the 16th century garden. Wow. But anyway, while I'm donning my not so waterproof waterproofs, let's take a look at how it used to look when I first arrived as a quick recap. All links will be in the description if you'd like to catch up on anything. But if you have missed any, worry not, because these are all standalone episodes that are fascinating in their own right and don't need to be watched in any particular order. So, in today's episode, we're going to be delving deeper and deeper into this woodland and seeing what we can find, and also trying to discover if the never-ending path actually has an end. So let's crack on, and I'll say thank you one more time for tuning in. It means more to me than what you'll ever know. Because of you guys, I get to help so many more people with their gardens. Thanks again. Right, I'm going to call it a day. It's impossible. Right, let's take a brief break and let's have a look at what's going on here. So there's a little chicken hutch there, which apparently was a rabbit hutch last. But you can see all these trees with brambles and nettles growing around them. They were actually standalone trees at one point, and all of this would have been grassland, which is what I'm going to do again. Now, I really didn't want to remove these rose hips. They're absolutely beautiful, but unfortunately they're growing right over the path, so I'll have to cut those back. And have a look at this tree here. You'll never guess what it is. I'll give you a hint. Take a look at these beauties. Now this is probably the biggest pear tree I've ever seen in my life, and it just goes to show what happens when you don't prune your orchard. And I'm also going to be dealing with some of this ivy, but stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you a few hints and tips to be dealing with ivy, which is what we're going to be doing in the next episode. But for now, let's carry on with this day. Well guys, that's almost it for today. Please stick around for the before and after photos that are coming up in just a second, and also a little bit of a walk around to show you what we're going to be doing in the next episode, and also those hints and tips about dealing with ivy as I promised you earlier on in the video, and all of that is coming up in just a moment. Right, let's have a look at what's going to happen on the next episode. As you can already see, this grass is actually starting to come back, and all I've done is remove a little bit of ivy, some of the brambles, and actually start to mow it. That way the brambles will die whether I take the roots out or not. The ivy will dislike it so much it'll stop growing, and then we'll just be replaced with a lawn. Even though it'll be a second-rate lawn, it certainly won't be bowling green, but it does mean that it will be largely ivy and bramble free, probably with a few lawn weeds that don't mind growing inside a lawn, but that's far preferable to what it is at the moment. I'm also going to be opening up a lot more of these trees and removing some of the lower branches, and that's going to let a lot more light in, which is going to help the grass thrive. And with regular mowing and trimming, the ivy and brambles will start retreating to the edges of this garden. That being said, I am going to have to remove some of this ivy that really has made itself at home on some of these trees, and this is how we're going to do it. So, ivy, one of the most hated plants on the planet. But there's a few things you could do with understanding about ivy. The first one, it's not actually a parasite. It lives on the trees, but it does not live off of the trees, i.e. it doesn't take any nutrients away from the tree itself. It must have roots in the ground in order to supply the nutrients that the ivy needs to survive, and to do that, just rip up the roots. There we go. Now anything connected to the top of this plant is going to be dead very soon. Now as long as the ivy isn't allowed to get too big, it's pretty straightforward. Just to yank it off the trunk of the tree. You don't need to get your ladders out and scale all the way up. Just pull off all of this ivy around the trunk with the roots, and the rest will die. Or you could use a pair of secateurs to just chop these ivy stems and then pull the roots out. Now as long as the plant hasn't got too big, because sometimes ivy will form a tree-like root, but again, as long as you don't let it get that far, it shouldn't be a problem ever removing ivy off of trees. My advice is, do it when it's little. The second fascinating thing about ivy is it will affect ailing trees far more than it will affect a healthy tree. And just two of the ways ivy can be an issue for your tree is by growing so big it creates a sail-like canopy which will blow over in the wind, like this one here at a different property, which can cause a fascinating amount of damage to a tree. Or the ivy can block out any light source for the tree completely, which will kill your tree. But fortunately, you get a lot of notice before this actually happens. So if you take a closer look at this one, as you can see, this central stem that I'm just pointing at here is the branch of the tree, and the other four large sections around it are actually the ivy, which means this tree could have been rescued quite a long time ago. Anyway, I'm going to stop banging on about ivy now. Thank you very much for watching, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and until then, I will see you in the next one.